Hey guys, here's the notes for your triangle congruence. So we recently have talked about similar triangles in which we said that the angles were going to be congruent to each other and the corresponding sides were what we called proportional. And now we are going to talk about triangle congruence, where congruent triangles means you have not only congruent angles, but all the sides are actually the same. So two congruent triangles are basically two identical triangles in different places in the world. So if you look here, we see that we have the left side two exact same size triangles, congruent. Remember the one on the right, similarity, they have that one little scale difference. Just a reminder that all congruent triangles, excuse me, all congruent triangles are similar, but if you try to go the opposite direction, like they mentioned, not all similar triangles are congruent because that one main criteria is that they have to have those congruent sides. And as you can see, this side would not be congruent to this one. So it is like one of those one-way streets for that. Examples, we typically would match these up like we would with the similarity statements, where you come through and say that the first angle that you see, or the first letter, should match up with the first letter, second with the second, and third with the third. So if we were going to write out the angles, angle A is congruent to angle H, angle S congruent to angle O, and angle K congruent to angle W. If you wanted to match up the actual sides, that's again very similar to what we did last time. Underline or connect two letters together, just make sure they're the same two letters. So I have AS is congruent HO. You can grab other colors and do this, so we match up the second two letters. SK congruent to OW. And the third is usually the connection of the first and the last. We would see AK congruent to HW. Extremely similar to what we would do with similar triangles. This time we just know the sides are congruent themselves. For number two, drawing a diagram. Whenever I have to do this, I try to draw, especially if they're congruent triangles, and especially with notability with how nice this is. Draw one triangle, duplicate it, and then whenever you name the triangles, just remember that you name them from left to right, and then we have to follow the same pattern that we use for both triangles. For example, if I go S, N, O, I need to match that up on the other side with M, A, and P. Marking the congruent pieces. Again, you can recognize, we're probably going to draw this a bunch of times today. First with first, second with second, third with third, which means that S and M, A and N, O and P are congruent. Any two letters that you match up would also be congruent. So we end up with these as the pieces here for your tick marks. Congruent shapes, everything's the same. And then if we jump back to how we can prove this one is congruent, again, matching up where you have these letters. W should match up with T, so I like to put those little corners in there. I, R, and last but not least, N and N. These are ones you want to find for vertical angles. So if you really wanted to match up which ones were which, I is congruent to R. When I look at sides, remember I think about it, especially here, like what two letters, or in this case colors, are you connecting? We would be connecting the blue and the pink, so IN should match up with NR. Angle TNR, really fancy way of just saying it's the blue angle that's right there. So if we look at that blue angle, the other blue angle would be labeled as angle INW, or you could read that backwards as WNI. And then once more TR, we're going to connect to the yellow and the pink lines. that should be IW or WI. Now with congruent statements, very similar to what we did earlier. Find the first triangle, you can name it however you want to. For instance, let's go CBA if we're going to name this. So triangle CBA. We went from a empty marking to a 90 to a single mark. We have to do the same here. Empty marking 90 to a single mark, which means I would have to name this triangle CD, and E. Same process we used to use with similar triangles, now just with congruent triangles. You do technically know that this angle right here is also congruent in case you wanted to do this. First one, let's go LKJ, just naming it however we feel like it. I went from a swoop slash to a double to a single. I need to go to the swoop slash to the double to the single. So we should name this second one triangle LNM. And again, at any point in time, you can match up the letters. Make sure that the first with the first, middle with the middle, last with the last. Same exact process for this one. I'm not going to mark this one up because I think you guys got this pretty much. S with G, put the little colors on them. I with R. And last but not least, L with Y. From there, name your sides, fill out your boxes. I think those should be hopefully second nature by now. But the next thing we can use is these statements to help us solve some pieces of this as well. Again, I will use the same exact strategy on this, but you'll notice this time, instead of just having congruent parts, we actually have some expressions in these now. And some of these will match up with numbers, some of them will match up with empty spaces. But it's really about trying to find out which ones you can use to solve your equations. For example, if I see the connection of these two yellows here, A and D should be exactly the same. So I should have 65 equals 2y minus 5. $70 is 2y. My final answer is y equals 35. As for the x variable that we have here, for this one, it's just a matter of connecting which two we're looking for. So if I have my y value, I can plug it into this, but I'm looking for the side that connects the pink and the blue. If I connect the pink and the blue over here, this should be 90.6. So 90.6 equals 2x plus 35 after you substitute that y value in there. We will subtract 35. So 54.4 it looks like. Divide by 2. What was it? 27.2, I believe that would be. Nope, I lied. Oh, where did I go wrong? Oh, that's right. This should be 0.6. Which means my final answer should be 47.4. Oh, guys. I made a mistake here. Oh, yes, that's the mistake. 55.6. Final answer, 47.8. All right. Matching them up, finding and utilizing your x's and y's to get those final answers. And then one last time over on this side, angle J and angle L. Be careful between the two triangles. Actually, what might be a good idea here would be to outline the first triangle so you know where angle J is for this one. Outline the second triangle. And then we can start matching them up. Actually, might be nice to do this as well. This is your green and red triangles, just so you can see them. And J with this green triangle matches with L from the red. K from the green should match with M from the red. And L from the green should match up with J from this one. So from here, once again, just matching up the pieces that need to be solved. It says solve for JK. So if I connect the yellow and the pink, JK should be 22.9. Oops, solve for, I guess these are congruent triangles, yep. So I just have JK is 22.9. And the last one is angle JLM. If I look at JLM, that is the blue dot that I have here. And we should have JLM equals 50 degrees. Oh, actually, I lied. That looks like it is supposed to be the yellow dot that's right there. Caught it just in time. About 34 for the final answer. All right, you guys do have worksheet number 4 to do for homework. Remember, I accidentally forgot to make the assignment for worksheets 1 through 3. That is on Schoology now for you guys. If you can get those submitted before the period ends, we'll see you guys tomorrow.